Hi friends, today we're going to be working on comparing fractions with unlike denominators. You're going to use this foldable that you were given. You came home looking like this, all right? And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fold it hot dog style, but slightly off center so that when you fold it over, it aligns with this side. And then you're going to want to cut these flaps back along these dotted lines. And you're going to end up with something that looks like this. All right, so you'll have 3 flaps that'll open. All right, we're actually gonna work in opposite direction from how we read. So we're gonna work from the right to the left. So we're gonna be working on converting to decimals first. So remember, we're working with unlike denominators. So for each of these different options, we're gonna be comparing the same fractions, 2/3 and 4/5. All right, so we're gonna compare 2/3 and 4/5 with making the fractions into decimals. So you have all of this information in your lesson plans. There's an answer key that gives you these filled in the blank. All right, so it says divide in and out, add a decimal and a 0, place the decimal straight up, divide until you have at least hundredths place, compare decimals. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that on the whiteboard. All right, so looking here, we have 2/3 and 4/5. An important thing to remember is that the fraction bar also means division. So we're saying 2 divided by 3. Let me switch, I want to use a different marker here. 2 divided by 3 means that we put the 2 inside the division house, the 3 goes out. We know that 3 cannot go into 2. That won't work. But we also know that we can add a decimal and add this 0 because 2 is the same as 2 and 0/10. The decimal floats up to the top. And now we can say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 20? Well, 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Remembering the steps of long division, we subtract, and we're left with 2. I told you that with the steps here, that we need to divide until we have at least the hundredths place. We're only at the tenths place here, so I'm gonna need to extend my division bar and do this again, which means I'm gonna repeat. So I'm gonna add another 0, and this time, I'm gonna repeat this. So I'm gonna say, okay, 3 goes into 20. How many times? We just did this math. So we'll add a 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract, and we're left with a 2. Now, it's okay to have a repeating decimal here. We'll do the same thing over here, and we'll say 4/5, okay? 4 divided by 5. Remember that the 4 is gonna be the one that needs to go inside the division house. 5 is on the outside. 5 cannot go into 4. Add the decimal, float it up to the top, and add that 0. 5 goes into 40, how many times? Stop and think about it. 8. 8 times 5 is 40 exactly. Subtract, and we're left with a 0. We still only have to the 10ths place here. So I do still need to add another place value. So I'm going to bring my zeros down. 5 goes into 0. 0 times 5 is 0. All right, so I'm left with these two numbers. 2/3 is equivalent to 66 hundredths. 4/5 is equivalent to 8/10 or 80 hundredths. And I can look at these two numbers and I can compare them. Whenever I compare decimals, I want to stack them. And I can look at these one on top of each other. Right here at the 10ths place, taking a look, my 8 is larger than the 6. So I know that the 8/10 or 80 hundredths is larger. So coming back to my original equation, 2/3 is greater than 4/5. All right, I'm gonna clear my board here. I'm gonna look at another way to compare fractions. Remember, we're still comparing these same fractions. This time, we're gonna do it using the least common denominator. Again, you have the information to fill in these blanks in your lesson plan. First, we'll find the LCM, which stands for the least common denominator. I'm sorry, the least common multiple. of each denominator, this is called the least common denominator. Multiply by a fraction equivalent to 1 whole to make both denominators equal to the LCD, which is least common denominator, and then we'll compare the numerators. All right, so let's look at how we do that. So we have 2/3 and 4/5. The denominators, of course, are the number on the bottom. So we're going to list our denominators here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. And I'll list the multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So I've listed my multiples. Remember, I need the least, the smallest, common multiple. So the smallest number that is the same in both of these lists. Did you find it yet? It is 15. So now I have to come back to my original fraction, and I have to make an equivalent fraction, making this 15 the denominator. So if we have 2/3, 15 is the new denominator. To get from 3 to 15, I have to multiply by 5, right? 3 times 5 gets me to 15. Whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I have to do to the top. So 2 times 5 is 10. Here, we're going to say 15 is the bottom. It's the denominator, excuse me. All right, in order to get from 5 to 15, we have to multiply by 3. Whatever we do to the bottom of the fraction, we have to do to the top. So 4 times 3 is 12. Now we have made equivalent fractions. 2/3 is equivalent to 10/15. 4/5 is equivalent to 12/15. But now these two fractions in blue are speaking the same language because they have like denominators. And all we have to do is look at the numerators. So take a look at these numerators. We have 10 and 12. Which one's the greatest? Well, 10/15 and 12/15. 10/15 is obviously smaller than 12/15. So that means 2/3 is less than 4/5. This is the same as what we figured out by using the convert to decimal strategy. All right, we're going to move on to the last strategy, which is new for you guys. This strategy is cross multiplication. We're over here in the cross multiplication section. Okay, for this section, you're going to cross multiply, write product on top of the fraction, and the greater fraction has the greater product on top. All right. So for this one, you have 2/3 and 4/5. This is actually called the butterfly method. I'm going to show you why it's called the butterfly method here for just a second. We are going to make butterfly wings. We're going to start by taking the numerator from the first fraction and swooping down and grabbing the denominator from the second fraction. Okay, see that oval? Right, then we're going to take the denominator from the first fraction and the numerator from the second fraction. Okay, these are our wings, right? Those are the butterfly wings. That's why this is called the butterfly method. Now, this tells us by grabbing these in these big loops, it tells us exactly what to multiply. I am going to write the product of these loops above the fraction. So 2 and 5. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I'm going to multiply here. 3 times 4 is 12. Then in this middle section right here, I'm going to use my comparison symbols. Equal, less than, or greater than. So 10 and 12. Which comparison symbol should I put in the middle to make the center of my butterfly? Is 10 equal to 12? Is 10 less than 12? Or is 10 greater than 12? Give you a second to think about it. That is correct. 10 is less than 12. So what that means is 2/3 is less than 4/5, just like we proved with the least common denominator and the convert to decimal examples. All right, these are all strategies that you can use to compare fractions with unlike denominators. Each of you will find one strategy works better for you or it's easier for you to comprehend than another strategy. In general, the convert to decimal strategy works really